Hi, I'm Tara-Nicholle Kirk, and it's Transformation Tuesday. This one is all about the choice. This talk today is called The House Rules of the Universe, Volume 1. All right, it's like those old sort of mixtape volumes. House Rules of the Universe, Volume 1, and this one is all about choice. So, know this. At any given moment, there is a choice you get to make, you can make. I don't like the way that sounded. DJ, run it back. Okay, because I feel way more urgent about this than that. So scratch that and let me say this differently. In every moment of your life, you are making a choice. You are making a choice. And that choice, which is what I call the choice, capital T, capital C, the choice, is whether in that moment to feed and nurture and step toward and fulfill your highest potential, or whether to hinder your own highest good, whether to shrink back and play small from your own fullest potential, whether to self-sabotage your own damn best life, all right? Now, the truth that you are in any given moment making this choice is spiritual law. It's one of what I have come to call the house rules of the universe, all right? So we're going to talk a lot about the house rules of the universe coming up here. And I'm so sorry. I hate to break it to you. I really don't. I actually love to break it to you. But there is no super simple black and white, blanco y negro decision rule that I can give you that just helps you make this choice all the time, all right? Because sometimes it just requires more discernment than that. It requires more spiritual maturity and sovereignty than that. It requires more engagement with the right now moments of your life and with your own inner guidance and inner intelligence than a blanco y negro rule would get you, all right? Because sometimes making the choice in favor of your highest good is to decide that you're going to gear up. You're going to go all in. You're going to put on your spiritual armor. You're going to go all in, and you're going to do the damn thing. All right? Sometimes that's the choice. Other times, the choice that supports you fulfilling your fullest, highest potential, you doing your dreams, is to do nothing. It's to take a freaking nap. It's to take a vacation. It's to put the project on ice for a minute. It's to stand down and stand still and watch and let the chips fall where they may. Okay. Fortunately, you do always have the ability to know whether the choice that you're making is a vote in favor of your good or not by how it feels when you're about to do it, when you try that option on in your mind. So if the thing that you're thinking about feels like exhilarating and expanding and energizing and like what Martha Beck calls shackles off, it is a step in the direction of your highest good, of fulfilling your potential, even if the thing also makes you feel nervous. Sometimes doing stuff makes you feel nervous. Sometimes inaction makes us feel nervous. Like if you, like me, were brought up and conditioned in your upbringing or programmed in your upbringing to feel that you have to be busy, you have to perform, conform, produce, achieve all the time, that things have to be hard in order to be worthwhile. If you have that conditioning, sometimes taking a freaking break can actually make you feel nervous or like something's wrong, right? Now, but if it also feels exhilarating and expansive and like shackles off, liberating, that's how you know it's a step in the direction of your highest good. And if the thing you're thinking about doing, if the option before you, let me say it that way, feels shackles on or depleting or draining, or like you're letting your own best self down, that is a signal that it's against your highest good, against your fullest potential, all right? So the first step to getting and feeling skillful at how you use and work with and leverage this house rule of the universe is this. Before you do anything else, you've got to practice the posture of radical self-acceptance. First, you have to get in a place of radical self-acceptance first. Do not decide that you're going to do the inner work on, understanding your choices, the choices that you're making in every moment of your life, and then also hate on yourself for the choices that you have made in the past or the choices you are making right now, because the self-judgment, the self-criticism, the self-shaming for the choices that you're making in the moment or the choices that you've made in the past, all of that nonsense just feeds your inner critic. And that defeats the whole purpose. So if doing the exercise of examining and inquiring within around your choices, if you can only do it in a way that feeds your inner critic, you're literally defeating the entire point of the exercise in the first place. Do not use this, me calling you, my call to the adventure of examining your choices. Do not use that to activate your inner critic. If you do, you defeat the whole purpose. And listen, I am not a fan of convincing people to do anything ever. I think convincing energy is the worst. So I stay out of the convincing business. But this one's really, really important. So I wanted to give you a little super short list of my arguments for why you should suspend self-judgment before you take the time to do the inner work of looking at your choices. All right, so number one is that self-judgment can never create self-liberation. Those two things do not go together. They cannot coexist. So if you're doing, so it's just 100% counterproductive. Don't do it. Number two, you have no ability to change your past choices, right? You literally have no ability to do anything about any event that took place before this second, before this moment. You can't do anything about it. So perseverating on, ruminating on, self-shaming, self-criticizing, self-judgment about your past choices is entirely wasted energy that you could be investing in your powerful now. You could be using to start making new powerful choices this second and the next second and the next second. All right. 3, almost any wise human that you have ever met in this life or that you ever will meet in this life will tell you that the way they got wise in the first place is, at least in part, by making choices in the past that they wouldn't repeat again. All right. And by reflecting with self-awareness and self-love on those choices and how things played out. All right. And then number 4, when these wise humans reflect on their lives backwards, they don't just see, oh, I did a thing I wouldn't do again and got an unwanted consequence as a result. They see both the unwanted consequences of their past choices and the wonderful things that came into their lives and that became reality for them, despite or even through the unwanted seasons and upsetting moments that they lived through in the past. All right, so listen. I hope I've made the case. You have to decide not to judge or criticize yourself when you start to see the choices that you're making or have made in the past and how they've impacted your ability to reach your full potential or not. And you have to suspend that self-judgment or that self-criticism for this exercise, or you are not allowed to read on. If you're reading this as an article or a blog post or in my newsletter, and you're not allowed to watch a single second more or listen to a single second more if you're listening to the audio or watching the video of this message. All right. So I'm serious. If you cannot agree to suspend the need to judge or criticize yourself for making choices against your highest good, no problem. I love you. You are poised, powerful, radiant, and magnetic. Wonderful avalanches of abundance now begin to flow to you by grace and in a wonderful way, actually. But also close this email or press stop and have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next week. All right. Now, if you can commit to radical self-acceptance, to suspend self-criticism, to suspend self-judgment, if you can take a step outside yourself and kind of become an objective observer of your own choice making, even for an hour or a day or maybe a week or a lifetime, then you get to keep reading or you get to keep listening or you get to keep watching. Okay. So now step 2 of this exercise is this. It's to become aware that you are making the choice, the capital T, capital C choice, whether to fulfill your potential or whether to like shrink from it all the time. And to also become very aware of how you're making, like the direction in which you're making the choice. All right. So much of our decision making in this life is habitual. It's very easy to just, end up like in this default mode of habit of like autopilot decision making, which over a lifetime can really, or even like a year, a decade, a couple decades, you can find yourself in this downward spiral because you're living out the results upon results of autopilot decisions that you've made and maybe are still making just out of sheer habit. All right. And if the direction of your default decision making is to make the choice in ways that limit the extent to which the genius within you is ever allowed out, then that can create a lifetime over time where 10 years, 20 years into your adulthood, you're like, dang, I thought I was meant for more than this. I remember feeling destined for greatness when I was a kid. I don't feel like I'm living that. All right. So that's step 2 is just a step of awareness. We're going to come back to that. And then this third step is really to just get intentional and make some commitments to yourself about how you make the choice, and to get intentional about how you're making that choice in the moment of making the choice more and more of the time, so that you make more and more choices every single day of your life that feel better and better and better and better and better to you over time. And then you get to watch. Then you get to just like literally sit back, lean back, and you get to watch the net level, the average level of freedom and liberation and wholeness and joy and happiness, and your level of health in your physical body and in your emotions, your mind, your spirit, your level of prosperity, financial, actual wealth, and also every other kind of abundance, your net level of wisdom and love, your net level of flowing self-expression. You get to sit back and watch those rise over time as you make the choice in the direction of fulfilling your potential over and over and over and over and over again, in the things that seem small and in the things that seem big. All right. So the thing that's awesome about the third step is where people are like, oh, I want to get into that step, right? But the thing that's awesome about the third step is that part actually will happen kind of automatically if you dive super deep on step 2, which is the awareness step. Okay, so that's what I want to talk to you about for the rest of the time. We're going to go back there. If you ever hear a Buddhist talk about insight, they'll be like, just shining the light of awareness is what that's the transformational moment. It's not in the doing of different things. Like Western culture is all about doing and action and effort and force. But like the wisdom of many, especially of like the insight type of Buddhism is that it's actually just in the awareness moment. That's where the juice is. That's where the transformation juice is. So just becoming aware that you're making choices every moment, and that in each moment, you're either voting for your potential or you're voting against your own potential. Just the awareness of that begins to break the pull of the habit patterns that where you're consistently on autopilot making the choice in a direction that keeps you small and keeps you from fulfilling your potential. So you got to catch the principle that your opportunities to make this choice, the choice, number in the thousands or maybe even in the tens of thousands every single day. Which I know for some people, they're like, that feels like a burden. There will come, I predict and declare for you that there will come a point in your spiritual maturity that the fact that you get an opportunity to make this choice over and over and over and over again, all day, every day, feels like a freaking gift. It feels like you getting millions and trillions of opportunities to give yourself a gift of voting for yourself, voting in favor of fulfilling your potential. You're never done, right? And you can't all the way screw it up, because the next second serves you up another opportunity. It's like a tennis serve, serves you up another opportunity to make the choice all over again. So you are fresh and new. In this moment, you get to make another choice, right? So the thing that gets hard for people is that we don't always understand, we don't always recognize that we are being given an opportunity to make the choice. So I wanted to give you a little list of some of the opportunities to make this choice look like that you get every day, like every freaking day. You get to choose whether to think a self-judging thought or a self-loving thought. Maybe self-love is a lot for you or a stretch for you. You get to choose whether to make a self-judging thought or a self-accepting thought, a self-approving thought. You get to choose whether to make an excuse or whether to reclaim your power by taking total and complete responsibility for something in your life, even if it's super uncomfortable. You get to choose whether to have uplifting or complaining conversations. And every time you find yourself in a complaining conversation, you get to choose whether to keep participating in it, whether to shift the conversation, or whether to end the conversation at any time, right? You get to choose whether, what, and how much to eat most of the time in your adult life. And if you don't feel like you have control over that choice, let me say this. You get to choose what food to even have on hand in your home most of the time. And you can kind of keep doing that. There's like a technology to this. You can always like move the choice to a different spot. If you're struggling with a habitual or an automatic like choice making that you do on a certain topic, you can kind of move, you can mess with where you make the choice. You know what I mean? So like you can make your choice in the kitchen in a moment of anxiety when you're tempted to eat your emotions, or you can make your choice at the grocery store or, you know, on the app when you order your groceries. Give thanks with me for a moment for the people who deliver our groceries. Seriously. Okay, you get to choose. So that's a choice. Actually, let me just say this. I'm gonna go off the lesson for a second. You get to choose whether to send well wishes or to send curses in any moment of your life. I have found that the practice of sending well wishes, it definitely blesses other people. It also blesses you, right? So you get to choose with your words. And now that I've said it, it'll become like aware. You'll become aware of it as you're having a conversation about that, you know, that person in the news. Are you sending well wishes in general, or are you sending curses? You get to choose. You get to choose whether to binge one more show or read something beneficial to you before bed. You get to choose whether to hate on your job or to bloom where you're planted, even once you've decided that the job's not for you and you're gonna move on. You get to choose in any given moment whether to gossip or to praise. You get to choose whether to keep overcommitting your calendar and keep saying yes when you really mean no, and keep overextending yourself, or whether to practice saying no and whether to create more space in your time and in your life. You get to choose whether to build a rich inner life, whether to do your inner work and your inner critic work and your shadow work, or, whether to just keep like, tra-la-la, keep burying your head in the sand and averting your eyes from looking within because you're afraid of what you'll find if you look in there. You get to choose whether to ask for what you need or keep playing the martyr. Keep saying, I'll do it myself. Is that working for you? You get to choose, this is a good one. When your kids feel bad, which is the same thing as saying when your kids act up, when your kids are misbehaving, they feel bad. Literally like 100% of the time, okay? So when your kid, so I like to just think of it as like, oh, she feels bad. You know what I mean? When your kids feel bad or for whatever reason cannot self-regulate or cannot access their own, little brains, impulse control centers, you get to choose whether to move toward them and connect and soothe, or whether to yell and threaten or time out and push away. And that you get to make that choice. Okay, and that's a choice you get to make for you and for them. And you get to choose whether to do the inner work of whether to heal your family's patterns or whether to keep perpetuating them. Here's one. You get to choose whether to allow your this lifetime trauma, your traumatized ancestry, and this toxic ass culture, let me just say it like it is. You get to choose whether that stuff gets to be the boss of you, or whether you are ready to turn within, take a real sacred pause in your life, whether it takes 1 minute or 3 decades, to shine light on your shadows and to reclaim your sovereignty and your freaking life. Okay? You get to choose. And you get to choose whether to, if you choose to reclaim your life and to do that inner work, first of all, I honor that choice. And you also get to choose whether to rush and judge the pace and the progress of your inner work, or to make peace with yourself and with life, and to let things take the time they take, and to just begin living the wide open, spacious life you came here to live. Only you get to choose, only you can even make that choice. In any given moment, you get to choose whether to stop disrespecting and overruling and overriding the voice of your own inner intelligence, or whether to start honoring it and obeying it, because it is the voice of infinite intelligence. It's literally God sending you a text message. Like, don't do that. Don't go there. Yes, raise your hand for that. You're ready for this. I'll help. Every freaking moment of your life, you get to decide whether to be stingy with yourself or whether to be lavish with yourself. That's literally just off the top of my head. That's like a fraction of the choices that you get to, a fraction of the ways in which the choice shows up in your day, every freaking day. So please catch this principle all day, all throughout the day, every single day. You are making the choice to receive or resist your highest good over and over and over again. And I do not want you to feel terrorized by this. I want you to feel the expansion and the power, the seed of power that is in this. And I want you to know the saying that they say in Tibet, that if you take care of the minutes, the years will take care of themselves. If you make the choice to stop, to step into, or to step toward even fulfilling your real, true, sacred self and potential, if you make that choice this minute, and then the next minute, and then the next minute, and then the next minute, if you make the choice to follow your wise inner guidance in this minute, and the next minute, if you close your eyes, just close your eyes with me right now. If you close your eyes and sit with the question of what kind of person do you really want to be? I don't care if you are 19 years old or if you are 70. And I happen to know that people are listening to this at both of those age ranges. You get to choose. When you open your eyes, you get to choose to show up in your own life as the person you want to be in this moment, and then in this moment. And if you focus on making the choice in the direction of your potential, your true sacred self, if you focus on that in this moment, if you make the choice in this moment to stop participating in shit that is not what you want, and that's what we're gonna talk about next week. Stop participating. If you know what you want and who you want to be, stop participating in the rest of it. Stop. If you do that in this minute and this minute and this minute, the years will take care of themselves. The big stuff, the things that we think are hard to change about our lives, the seemingly big stuff will shift. It will yield to you. This universe will yield to you. The stars will align, and so will the whole rest of your entire life. So this is an invitation. It's a dare. I want you to try it. Focus on the choice in this moment, in this moment, in this moment. Start now. Keep your head up. Keep your heart out. I will see you next Transformation Tuesday.